During the war, Pitchcroft was used to recruit and train Royalist soldiers. A guidebook of the mid-19th century states there was no authority for the holding of horse racing on Pitchcroft, although races have been held there from the days of King Charles II, who reigned from 1660 to 1685. In the guidebook, Pitchcroft was described as a large flat meadow on the east bank of the Severn above the bridge, and known as Pitchcroft Ham, meaning the inner island of Pitchcroft. The name Pitchcroft is said to derive from the word pit, a portion, share or farm, and croft, which means small enclosure. Bull baiting was a popular, brutal blood sport in Worcester from medieval times until the 1840s. It involved tethering a bull and setting dogs on it. Bull baiting was centred in St John's area of the city, which still retains the name the Bull Ring. Bull baiting also took place on Pitchcroft, as this newspaper report of 1808 reports. Last week, a bull which was being baited in Pitchcroft broke loose and caused great alarm and consternation in the neighbourhood, besides doing considerable damage to some plantations which he entered. Being, however, secured, he was again brought to the stake, and when the surrounding spectators were satiated with his sufferings, the poor beast, attended by a great concourse of disorderly people, was brought into the streets of the city. In Broad Street he fell exhausted by fatigue and the loss of blood. His bellowing was tremendous, and excited the fear and indignation of the peaceable inhabitants. We trust that this inhuman practice, so disgraceful to humanity, will ever meet with the reprobation it so justly merits. A dreadful accident involving the death of one woman and injuring several other people marred the second day of the Hereford and Worcester Agricultural Show being held on Pitchcroft. Captain Clayton, who was the first person in England to own a Blériot 11 flying machine, promised to make frequent attempts daily on his monoplane, which was said to be a duplicate of that in which Blériot made his famous flight. On the preceding Wednesday, a trial flight, when his machine rose only a few feet and then suddenly fell, doing considerable damage and spraining the captain's ankle. But because he was injured, his mechanic, Dartigan, an assumed name, was to be pilot. Dartigan was in fact Ernest Beresford from Newcastle under Lyme, whose claim to fame was that he was the only man in England to loop the loop on a bicycle. He had no flying experience whatsoever. The next day, Dartigan's first attempt was a failure. The machine ran along the ground a quarter of a mile, but refused to fly. The mounted police attempted to clear a way for him. The crowd stood about 10 deep against the barrier. The monoplane began running along at high speed and suddenly turned into the crowd. Due to the numbers estimated as over 10,000 and so densely packed they had little chance of getting clear of the approaching plane. Dozens of people fell down. The monoplane ploughed over them for some distance until it finally toppled over, damaging the framework and wings. D'Artigan escaped, cost one woman her life and caused injuries to others. The spectators not only witnessed the accident but also saw the injured woman taken to the infirmary, where she later died. Crowds of members of the Baptist Church used to gather on the banks of the Severn in Pitchcroft in the early 1900s to affirm their faith and to be baptized in the river. Crowds of people thronged Pitchcroft in 1934 for the Royal Infirmary Gala. Pat Collins, a well-known fair proprietor, gave a percentage of their take-ins on roundabouts and funded the fair attractions.